Okay guys, so I've got the firewall loose, taking out these two apron pieces, and I've got my welder set up so that I can weld in the little patch piece in this frame rail right here. So my plan is just to go ahead and weld this in, and then you can see it's a little bit taller than what's there. I'll just basically grind down the excess, drill out, and put a nut down in the top of the frame rail for this bracket that welds, or this bracket that bolts on. Alright, so I got it welded front and back. I need to do a little cleanup with the grinder and see if I can't cut it off flush with the top of the existing frame rail flange. Okay guys, so let me show you where I'm at now. I've done a lot of preparation for fitting up this firewall and these two apron pieces, so let me walk around and show you where I'm at. Okay, so on these two apron pieces I've drilled, I did a pilot hole with a little 1/8 bit, and then I came back with my step bit, came up and did 5/16 weld holes for my plug welds. I had to kind of grind them and kind of dolly flatten them, because when you're drilling through this edges it tends to bend this a little bit, so I tried to straighten this up, and then grind off, you know, the burrs on the back, and then going through and put down some more weldable primer on these back sides where I'm going to be going metal to metal when I go to weld. On these other small flanges I couldn't get a 5/16 hole, or I'd end up just chewing up the side of this small flange. So I went with a 1/4 inch hole, and I was able to use my little air punch here. That this punch is about a 3/16 hole, maybe a little bit bigger, and then I go back and hit it with my step bit. And then I've also drilled where this is going to sit on the forward or the front frame rails for plug welding that. All these other flanges will be welded through a mating flange, so I don't need to punch any of these or these. Okay, so let's go over the car, see what I've done here. Likewise, all the mating surfaces here, I've cleaned them up and put some weld-through primer on them. You know, likewise over here, you know, on these pieces here, and up here on the cow edge. Over here I did that patch I was telling you about on that frame rail. So I put in a piece of plate there. I got me a grade 8 nut and set it down in there and welded it in place and tried to grind it back flat enough so that, you know, it's level all the way across here. Got this, you know, functional now. You know, this portion of the frame rail is going to get discarded. So I went ahead and pre-drilled this side only and this side, because once I put the firewall in there, this can get a little hard to get to. So I went ahead and pre-drilled them, but I didn't break anything loose. That's the only thing kind of attaching the front to the back. So when I get the firewall kind of attached here and to the couple of 3 plug welds at the top on each side, here and here, then I'll feel comfortable. You know, that'll provide, you know, the connection between the car and the front end. So I've got it stable before I start taking that loose and discarding the whole floor back through the trunk. So that's the intent. One other thing I'm going to have to do before I do any welding, I need to pre-drill these and probably even just move a piece of this inner rocker just to get it out of the way, because this is going to be coming in with my new floor. So I need to go ahead and get this portion of it out of the way before I put the firewall in to make it, you know, too hard to get to. So, you know, this flange here on the rocker is actually, you know, these flanges here. Okay, and here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that portion of the inner rocker out on each side just to get it out of my way, so I don't have to fight with it. So let me get that taken care of, and hopefully I can get some welds on this thing today, but we'll see. All right, guys, so I've been measuring my panels, the firewall, all my diagonals, just 9 ways to Sunday, to the point where I just freeze and you know, I'm too scared to even try to weld on it again. But I've talked to some of my friends over on the Facebook group for restoring these cars, just trying to verify my dimensions. And you know, everyone says measure twice, weld once. You know, I've measured a half a dozen times, but that doesn't mean that I haven't made a mistake, but I think I'm in pretty good shape. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing some welding. Let me show you where I'm gonna start. All right, so what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to run just some welds across the top of this firewall. Eventually I'll take this export brace off and do my welds underneath it, because I've got some plug welds there. I'm gonna run a few spot welds here, a few along here, and then I'm gonna stop about right here, because I want to have some flex here until I get the floor in. I'm gonna go ahead and weld in these panels here on both sides and to the firewall, okay, and pull my screws out. And then I feel like I'm going to be pretty stable, this entire front end off of the firewall on both sides. I've got the new core support here prepped and ready to weld on as well. Again, I've taken dimensions on my diagonals. I've got my export brace in. I've got this Monte Carlo bar in, you know, just bolted in so that I feel like I'm stable and it's lined up well. I'll go ahead and, you know, drill my holes on these extensions, weld these in. Again, I'm going to weld down just a few of the spots here in the stop, but I'm going to do all my welding here and this entire panel in. Then I feel pretty good about the fact that my front clip should be lined up well. You know, I've used my laser here, and I'll just, you know, stick a couple of photos up on the screen here just to show you what I've done here. I've got this laser level that lined me up horizontally as well as in the right plane, this whole front end on plane. So I feel like I'm in pretty good shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my welding process along here, and you know, then we'll come back and talk with you. All right, so I think I'm at a good point here. I've got the 2 apron pieces welded in, ground down my welds, went back through and kind of patched a few spots. Got down on this front radiator core, did the same there. Well, let me show you where I'm at. I've completed all my plug welds and I've ground down my welds smooth all along this radiator core support. I've reattached bottom and top all along the radiator support here, these diagonal structural pieces here. And then I've come back through here and you can see I've completed all my plug welds and ground them down on this piece as well as on the top of the apron here. I've got to re-drill this hole here where my Monte Carlo bar bolts in. Going all along here, and so I've got those ground down. I've got all along the apron piece on the firewall, both sides. And the next thing, again on this side. So what I need to do now is I'm going to touch up some of this where I've ground down with some, you know, just some gray primer just to protect it, because it's going to be a while before I get this car on the rotisserie and can, you know, really prep it for paint and for epoxy primer. So all right, guys, I think I'm at a good stopping point here. Got quite a bit accomplished. I got the firewall in where I needed it. I had put in, you know, this radiator core support here, and then those 2 rear apron pieces on the fender apron pieces, and got a good touch of primer on them. I went ahead and put in the Monte Carlo bar and the export brace just to make it stable. Now I think I'm at a good position where I can go ahead and start cutting that floor out. So I'm really excited about getting this 1-piece floor in. So for a couple of reasons. It's progress on the car, and secondly, just to get it out of my garage off of this frame that it's sitting on. So thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed this particular episode. I hope you learned a little bit from it. Maybe you've got some pointers you can give me, all the mistakes I've made. I'm not looking for a bunch of negative feedback, but if you've got some positive constructive criticism, you know, please put it down in the comments. Additionally, you know, I use various consumables and things here. Amazon gives me a little bit of a stipend here, or a little bit of a support when you guys buy things through my links in the description. It doesn't cost you any more to buy through those links than you would normally. Please help us out with the channel. We'd appreciate it. So the next time me and Roxy either get out here in the garage, which is more likely being it's so cold outside, or the next time we get out on the Harleys and go for a ride, you guys come go with us.